Well, a happy Halloween to you. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning on KCMO Talk Radio. It is going to be a chilly one for the kids as they get set to trick or treat later today. You know, as I think about scary things on this Halloween morning, it still terrifies me that somebody like Karine Jean-Pierre, who is not bright and not talented, can rise to the position of White House press secretary. It's just horrifying that we literally are selecting people for positions of that kind of importance when the whole world is watching simply because of skin color and who they prefer to sleep with. Or just be honest, that's how it is. So I'm listening yesterday to some of what Karine Jean-Pierre had to say during her press conference, and she was asked a very simple question by none other than Peter Doocy. I say my good friend Peter Doocy, tongue-in-cheek, but Peter, of course, if you don't know or haven't heard the story, was a year ahead of me at Villanova. Very smart guy, funny guy. Didn't know each other well, but knew each other. He's been on this show before, by the way. And just take a listen to this back and forth with Karine Jean-Pierre when Peter Doocy, the only one in the entire news media in D.C., who's going to ask the White House press secretary the very obvious question. You guys scream about extremists. Well, what about the extremism we are seeing across the country, mostly in major American cities, against Israel? Take a listen.
Thank you, Karine. Does President Biden think the anti-Israel protesters in this country are extremists?
What I can say is what we've been very clear about this. When it comes to anti-Semitism, there is no place. We have to make sure that we speak against it very loud and be very clear about that. Remember, what the president decided to, when the president decided to run for president, is what he saw in Charlottesville in 2017, when he saw neo-Nazis marching down the streets of Charlottesville with vile anti-Semitic just hatred. And he was very clear then, and he's very clear now. He's taken actions against this over the past 2 years, and he's continued to be clear. There is no place for this type of vile and despite this kind of rhetoric.
And we hear,
by the way, she is squirming up there on the podium.
You guys don't talk about extremists all the time. It is usually about MAGA extremists. So what about these protesters who are making Jewish students feel unsafe on college campuses? Are they extremists?
I've been very, very clear. We are calling out.
Stop with the... How many times am I going to hear Karine Jean-Pierre talk about how clear she's been, as she is anything but clear in her comments? Stop telling me how clear you are and how clear you... I am being very clear by not being clear. I will be clear by being as unclear as I possibly can be. Stop telling me you're being clear. Stop telling the American people what they understand you are not doing. And that is condemning the rampant anti-Semitism that is growing in your own party's ranks.
Any form of hate.
Oh,
any form of hate.
Is that like All Lives Matter, by the way?
Could be.
Right? I'm getting a All Lives Matter vibe here from Karine Jean-Pierre. We condemn this. We're being clear. We condemn any kind of speech against anybody. Gosh, major All Lives Matter vibe going on here.
It is not acceptable. It should not be acceptable here. And we are going to continue to call that out. And let me be very clear. This is a president that has continued to have that fight in his office, in this administration. You know, when he repealed Trump's Muslim ban on his first day in office, that is something that this president did. He also established an inter-policy committee to counter Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and related forms of bias and discrimination. We have taken this very, very, very seriously, from the president all the way on down.
Let's see. No, enough about the Jews. Let's get to the Muslims here, okay? I mean, that's what it's really about in Karine Jean-Pierre's world. It's like, can we just focus on one thing at a time here? We told you about it over the weekend, and we talked about it over yesterday, where once again you had Palestinian rallies happening in major American cities all over the country. And in some cases, like portions of New York, you had Jews who were being told to, maybe hunker down for the weekend. Can we stick to that? They are so desperately trying to make this about Islamophobia, which is what, we talked a lot about last week. That's not what the question was, number one. And it's number two, not what people are seeing with their own two eyes.
I don't recall a Muslim ban.
Well,
wasn't there a ban against people from certain countries?
Yes.
Okay, never was a Muslim ban.
So you're right. Yeah. She's lying at
the
podium.
We go even back to the fictitious starting point.
Yes. The fake news reports.
Fake news.
From, 5, 6, 7 years ago now. That's so true. So you've got this White House press secretary who's, by the way, Trump, Charlottesville, Islamophobia. See, here's why Karine Jean-Pierre doesn't want to talk about this rampant anti-Semitism. Because she doesn't want to talk about where it's coming from. That's why. They just want to go out there and say, yeah, hate speech is bad and we should condemn it all and everything else. I remember a time, and don't get me wrong, there are anti-Semites when you talk about small pockets of the far right. That's exactly true. But what are you seeing in mass in recent weeks? You are seeing supposedly mainstream, oftentimes kids on college campuses, parade around and be sympathetic towards those who just slaughtered 1,400 Jews. That's what you're seeing. These are people who are not ashamed. These are people who are not trying to hide their identity. These are people who are trying to mainstream a lot of what we've seen over the last couple of years. And you're seeing it even from members of Congress, which we've highlighted. The Squad, Cori Bush, right here in Missouri on the St. Louis side of the state. She represents the city of St. Louis. And she has been one of those people. These are not, a bunch of dopes walking through Charlottesville in their, little lame, pathetic white costumes. These are people representing Americans in the United States Capitol. These are kids who are at some of the most, not kids, but young adults at some of those prominent institutions in America. These are future leaders, theoretically. I hope not, but theoretically they are future leaders in this country. And it's been going on now for the better part of 3+ weeks. And when you get asked about it, the best thing you can do, Karine, is just stick to the issue. And by the way, when you talk about how clear you're being, if you only call it out somewhat when you get asked about it by Peter Doocy of Fox News, you're not really calling anything out. You're just happening to get asked about it and answering the question. I'm not seeing a lot of calling out when it comes to professors at Harvard. I'm not seeing a lot of calling out of the Squad. Maybe you are, but I'm not seeing it. And then you wonder why, you're seeing a continuing decline in the approval numbers for her boss. And we will get to that coming up next, 6:13 on a Tuesday morning. Happy Halloween. Unfortunately, there's too much scary going on these days. Right here on KCMO Talk Radio, now on your FM dial at 95.7. 6:20, happy Tuesday, happy Halloween. It's going to be a chilly one out there today, so make sure you bundle up the kiddos later this afternoon.
I was one time Will Ferrell holding the cowbell in one. That song reminded me of that for Halloween. So
that's great. I did see Will Ferrell, by the way. He was DJing his kids' fraternity party at USC or something like that. If you didn't see that a couple of weekends ago, that looked like a good time. It's good to be in a fraternity with Will Ferrell's son because he may just show up and start DJing the event. Quite a scene. So,
streaking at the quad.
Yeah, exactly right. He's probably leading the way. Gosh, could you imagine? Will Ferrell shows up to your fraternity and starts streaking through the quad. Oh, gosh.
Not today, though, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they'd get rid of that real fast. Real fast. But, if you want to walk around campus and chant, kill the Jews, I mean, please be their guest, right? They'll love that on college campuses. But when it comes to, streaking like the old days, Will Ferrell, something like that, no. Can't have that. Unbelievable. All right. Now, unbelievable is Joe Biden's approval rating, which continues to tank. Joe Biden has hit a new disapproval number per a new poll released yesterday of 56%. That's right. Now, these numbers keep getting worse, and it doesn't matter what poll you want to look at. This one from yesterday, News Nation Decision Desk HQ poll found that 56% of respondents said they somewhat or strongly disapprove of the way that Joe Biden is handling the job. Now, when it comes to approval, that's at about 43%. So that's actually high for his approval numbers based on where it's been as of late. But no matter how you spin it, there's this poll from last week, and I haven't looked at these numbers in quite some time because I'm not the kind of person that sees one poll and starts like, oh, my God, wow. I mean, I'm trying to say, okay, let's take a few polls, let's put them together, let's see what they look like. There was this poll from over the weekend that had Joe Biden's approval rating amongst Democrats dropping 11 points in the past month to 75%. That's the worst reading of his presidency from his own party. That drop pushed his overall approval rating down 4 points to 37%, which matches a new low. This is from Gallup. At the same time, Biden's approval among independents has declined 4 points to 35%, while Republicans' ratings remained unchanged at just 5%. 5%. Who are the 5, by the way? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Can you find the 5 for me anywhere, Bueller?
Aren't they on The View?
Maybe. Yeah, that's
or
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, at least one of them. That's true. So he's pretty much sat in the 45 to 48 range, at least early in his tenure. And really for the better part of the last, 12 months at least, he's just hovered between 37 and 43. These are disastrous numbers, especially when you consider the fact that he's got media and corporate America and everybody else trying their absolute best to fluff him up a little bit here. Like Trump was in that range, right? But Trump had a unique set of problems. He didn't know when to be quiet. He didn't know at times how to play the game. And the media obviously spent 24/7, 365 to get him. They spent every waking moment trying to get Trump. The media barely even covers some of the Biden scandal stuff. Hey, forget the Hunter stuff. They barely touch the guy. Yet he still got approval ratings right where Donald Trump is. So anytime someone says to you, well, he's right where Trump was with the approval. Yeah, and Trump was fighting with one arm tied behind his back. Partially because of his own doing, but a lot of it was because of the media and how they were treating the guy. So that leads me to this belief that for many, many weeks, I've thought that there are those in the Democratic Party who do not want Joe to run again. Joe apparently wants to do it, right? I don't know how you tell him no. But they have set up this shadow campaign with the likes of Gavin Newsom, who was in China over the weekend plowing into little boys on the basketball court. If you haven't seen the video, it's up on my Twitter page at Pete Mundo. I mean, literally, Mark's already laughing. I got Mark laughing by 6:25 on a Tuesday. He can't get enough of that video.
I watched that thing probably like 30 times yesterday. That was hilarious.
Literally, you see Gavin Newsom. He's over there in between fluffing up President Xi. He's plowing through Chinese boys on the basketball court, and then he's, grabbing them and slapping them on the tush. It is the most awkward video of all time. He's like LeBron James driving the lane trying to draw a foul. 1 minute left in the game, down by 2, something like that. It's really embarrassing. It's so awkward. But if you want to see the video, it's up on my Twitter page. So you've got Newsom and Xi. They're two peas in a pod. You got Newsom over there doing a shadow campaign. And then he's got his big debate coming up with Ron DeSantis next month. And then you also have Kamala Harris hopping on 60 Minutes on Sunday night. Now, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't want to torture you with Kamala Harris audio on a Monday, so I passed on that yesterday, and there wasn't anything new there. It was more of, the usual nonsense from Kamala Harris, word salads and not making a lot of sense. But there's a reason for that. They need a backup plan. Because at some point, the polling might really show that Joe continuing on is just an untenable situation for the party. And I don't know if it's going to be something globally, if it's going to be something domestically. I don't know. But I believe the powers that be are at least very much considering that and realizing that this is a situation that they can't hang their hat on. They cannot rely on Joe to be their guy. They just can't do it. And they don't want to say that out loud. They don't want to admit that. I mean, they're hoping like all get out. And this is not a knock on Trump, but I think that they are hoping that Trump's the nominee and that they can just run the same playbook as 2020 and get Joe back into the White House and trot him around for 4 more years. Because that's all they've got. They can't run on a record. There's no record to run on. There's no record for this guy to run on.
He's a nut job.
They've got nothing they can possibly do to make Joe look good outside of make it about Trump. And as I said 3 years ago now, the best thing that you can do in politics is make a race about your opponent. Whoever the race becomes an indictment on is ultimately who likely ends up losing. In 2016, it was Hillary Clinton. In 2020, it was Donald Trump. They both ended up losing. So that's Joe's best bet. As we approach, November, which is going to be 12 months to go until Election Day 2024. Last night I was flipping through the TV and I saw a national anthem that was, frankly, very impressive. I want to play that for you coming up next on KCMO 95.7. Well, I'm watching TV flipping around last night right before I was set to take the girls up to bed and flip on the World Series. I haven't watched a ton of it, but I watched a little bit on Friday when the Rangers won the close game. Saturday, I was watching college football, and Arizona blew them out anyway, so I wasn't watching a lot of that. But last night, I'm flipping around, and I said, all right, World Series coming up. And listen, I'm nostalgic for baseball, but I admit if you have two teams you don't care about, it's very hard to get into. Unlike football, it's just tough to get into. But, I want to watch it. I want to be a good red-blooded American and watch a little World Series once in a while. So I'm flipping around, and I find the World Series. I pop it on, and National Anthem is about to start. And Claire, my oldest, always likes watching national anthems. It's just, I don't know. Go to high school football games. She likes watching the anthem. Flip it on TV. She likes watching the anthem. So, hey, I'm proud of that as a father. So I'm like, hey, girls, national anthem's about to start. So we start watching the national anthem, which was in Arizona last night before Game 3 between the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. And Jordan Sparks, who probably hit her peak as a musician 2008, 2009, give or take. I think she was on American Idol or one of those shows. But anyway, she's doing the anthem. She's from Arizona. And I'm always intrigued to see how people do their national anthem. And I got to tell you, it was very impressive. Mark, I'm realizing I don't see the clip up here, but I'm going to, if you could pull that for me. I thought we had the Jordan Sparks national anthem. If not, I've got it for you here on a link I'm going to put at 6:35 if you want to do that. You got it? All right. Let's play the national anthem then. Jordan Sparks last night prior to Game 3 of the World Series.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red alert, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was Jordan Sparks' national anthem last night. I thought it was very well done. Good pacing. What was the number on that, Mark? A minute 30-ish, maybe? If you got the length on that clip, let me know. I'm just curious. Usually that's the sweet spot. Some try to extend it out to 2 minutes. It's not a 2-minute song. If you're doing it right, it's a minute 30-ish.
Yeah, minute 34.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want to see from my national anthem. Didn't overdo it. She made it her own enough, and she nailed the important notes. Might have been a little flat early on a couple of notes, but she nailed the important notes. And I'm watching that saying, that's how you do a national anthem. Now, it's still weird to me when I'm watching another sporting event and I don't hear Chiefs come in at the end of the anthem. I know that triggers Toriano Porter at the Kansas City Star, but, got to grow a pair there, my man. Sorry. So it's one of those things where I just thought, that was great. Now, that being said, apparently, and I'm sharing this with you in part because apparently nobody else is watching the World Series. The ratings came out for Game 1, and it was the lowest rated World Series ever. Yeah. Lowest rated World Series ever in Game 1. It was lower than the COVID year World Series ratings. The number 9.17 million people watched the World Series, and they have the ratings dating back to 1972. The highest rated, most watched World Series since 2004 remains the Cubs and Indians back in 2016. Of course, that was a great year for the Chicago Cubs, so that explains that. But the numbers have not been trending in the right direction. I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, baseball has become so regional. If your team's not in it, you don't care. That's how the World Series and, unfortunately, baseball has been trending. It is such a regional sport. People are not going to flip on a game like Monday Night Football last night between the Lions and the Raiders and watch it. They're just not going to do that with baseball. And now you're seeing that pay off in some of the numbers when it comes to ratings. So when I saw this last night, I was like, oh, my goodness. This is awful. And I don't know how baseball changes it. I'm sure that last night was even worse because they went up against Monday Night Football. They had Friday night to themselves, and they couldn't pull a decent number. There was nothing else on Friday night if you're a sports fan. And they did the lowest ratings of all time. That's horrible.
Even lower than one with Kansas City, huh?
Yeah.
Dallas is bigger than here. Yeah, Phoenix is bigger than here.
You're right. Yeah, no, let me go back to the 2015 World Series. Now,
you had the Mets there.
You had New York in there.
So.
But game one between the Royals and the Mets did 14.94 million viewers. So 15 million. Game 1 on Friday night, Texas and Arizona, 9.1 million. Over 50% more people watched Game 1 between the Royals and the Mets. How about that?
Did we have a free taco on the line for stolen base, or is that the secret here? No taco on the line, I'm not watching.
No taco on the line. And Game 5 between the Royals and the Mets, and that's, of course, the Royals clinched the series, 17.2 million. That's a big number, man. That's a big number. For a Game 5, it wasn't all that, it was a close series, but it only went 5 games. So that tells you all you need to know. People are just not watching baseball. They're not watching the playoffs. They're not watching the World Series. And, I'm I'm saddened by that as somebody who wants Americans to like Major League Baseball, but baseball's not doing itself any favors either. Now, Mark might have been watching because he probably had some 7-way parlay on the game. Were you watching just because of your parlay? And admittedly, would you have watched if not for a parlay?
I was watching a little bit for the parlay, but I was more watching Monday Night Football.
Because you had something on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like football a little bit more nowadays.
Did you win anything?
I did win one bet.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Small one, but it was okay.
All right. So you did okay. You did a little something. All right. Well, apparently you're not alone. People are moving to football, and when you've got the World Series ratings for Game 1 going to an all-time low, it tells you a lot about where we're at right now. 6:43 on a Halloween morning. It's going to be cold for the kids out there trick-or-treating later today. Coming up, I saw this list. And by the way, we got Chris Stapleton tickets in a half hour. So make sure you're tuned in, set the alarm. Right before 7:15 at the break, we're going to give away a pair of Chris Stapleton tickets. He'll be at T-Mobile Center next June. So a half hour from now, hang around. I saw a list of best states for off-grid living. And one of our 2 states made the list. How about that? Was it Kansas? Was it Missouri? Why did one of our 2 states end up making that list for best off-grid living? We'll tell you which one and why next here on KCMO Talk Radio, now on your FM dial at 95.7. You want to talk about scary, 7:05 on a Halloween Tuesday morning. How about this? $18 Big Mac combos. That's right. That is the economy under this president in a nutshell.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's it right there. $18 Big Mac combos. Now, this was headline news yesterday because we're starting to get some earnings reports this week. And McDonald's reported yesterday that its revenue was up 14% in the latest quarter. Now, McDonald's is saying the big reason for the increase in revenue was driven by strategic menu price increases. They brought in $6.69 billion in the 3-month period ending September 30th, beating the expectations. Well, okay, what are they increasing their menu prices on exactly? Well, what we do know is that there is one McDonald's in Darien, Connecticut, per the New York Post I'm reading here, that charged as much as $18 for a Big Mac combo meal. That's medium fries and a medium soft drink. $18. My goodness, I thought I was getting ripped off at that $5 fillet of fish a couple of weeks ago when I ate that garbage. But imagine $18 for a Big Mac combo, John. Holy smokes, that's big money.
I can't, actually. No.
Exactly. And that's why you wait, by the way. You wait for that Chris Jones sack. So you get the Big Mac where
Jeez, apparently it's a $36 value.
Yeah. You just go.
It's just the sandwiches. So,
yeah.
But still.
Oh, you only get the sandwich for
Big
free?
Macs have yeah, you get 2 Big Macs. You don't do the combo.
2 Big Macs for the price of 1, right?
Correct.
That's the deal?
Correct.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
just the
I
sandwich.
guess you can combo up. I never do.
You never do.
No.
Yeah. See,
Won't
that's
be anytime soon.
Not at $18 for the combo.
Unless my Biden bucks come in.
Yeah. Meantime, that same Big Mac is going to run $14 at a McDonald's in Times Square. So this is one of those things where if I'm running for office as a Republican, and I don't care if it's for Congress in the 3rd District of Kansas, I don't care if it's for president, U.S. Senate, whatever. If you are running against an incumbent Democrat, I would use the $18 Big Mac in my ad. Even though I know it's not local to here and it's unique to Connecticut, the thought that anywhere in America you would have to shell out $18 for a Big Mac combo is unfathomable. Yet here we are. These are real prices in America in 2023. Thanks to inflation that has been driven in large part by insane government spending over the last 3.5 to 4 years. It's indisputable. There's no excusing it. There's no there's no but the Russian war or some nonsense like that. It is government spending and then, of course, supply chain issues as well. which once again ties back to the government, that has caused this massive inflation over the last 3 years. To ever possibly conceive the idea of an $18 Big Mac combo makes no sense. And I did look it up, by the way. When I got that filet of fish 4 weeks ago today, it was Tuesday, October 3rd. I just looked at my credit card statement. And my body is still recovering from that filet of fish, by the way, which I only ate half of. But 4 weeks ago today, I got it. It was $4.80. Yeah, not terrible. Now, I would say $4.80 too much for what it is, but it wasn't terrible. But that was just the sandwich. I didn't get any combo. I didn't get anything like that. I just got fake fish fried on a bun with a piece of cheese and some of the worst tartar sauce you could ever have for $4.80. The prices are continuing to spiral out of control. And as a lot of people have noted, there are many McDonald's where they have the, what do they call it? The $1, $2, $3 thing? The specials or whatever they do?
Value menu.
Value menu? Okay.
Yeah, they're periodic anymore. There's not a fixed menu any longer.
Well, I remember it. My point is, I remember a dollar menu just, maybe 10 years ago they had a dollar menu.
Yep.
Right?
Just about everybody did.
Everyone did.
Till it went to $2.
And now I see
it doesn't exist.
Now it doesn't exist.
Right.
Now I see this Burger King by my house and they promote 2 sandwiches for $2.99 each. I'm like, that's a deal? What the hell are we doing here? I mean, geez, and if Trump gets back into the White House and, he ends up in a situation where he's got to figure out how to provide cheeseburgers and hamburgers and everything else for the rest of the college football national champions, he's going to have himself a tough time. That's going to be a big ticket for, the taxpayers.
We have pizzas. We have 300 hamburgers, many French fries.
Boy, what would the ticket of that be now? 300 hamburgers these days in this economy? Jeez, that stacks up. Go figure.
You can only use one coupon per day on the app that I have.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Now,
although I can get the $6 Big Mac, medium fry, medium drink for $6.
Oh, you can.
So that's a good deal.
Is that unique to here locally, or could you use that anywhere in the country?
I think it's unique to the local ones. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a good deal.
That is a pretty good deal. Beats $18.
Yeah.
That's a 66% price decrease there. Okay. Wow. I'd be using that one in campaign ads. 913-408-7957 is how you join us here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. Pete, I wish McDonald's would be happy with their earnings and not increase prices for more money. See, I disagree with that. And here's why. I understand the thought process of McDonald's should be happy with their earnings and not increase prices. But they have a duty to their shareholders to maximize their profits. And as long as Americans are going to continue to buy $18 Big Macs, then by golly, McDonald's can charge it. You can only charge what people are willing to pay. And here's what I think about Americans at large. We talk a tough game. I would never spend that kind of money. No, you would, and you will. And every single day we have examples of consumerism continuing to spiral out of control. We are addicted to consumerism. We're not addicted to investing in this country. We are addicted to buying crap. Whether it's food, whether it's, just consumerism, goods, things that we don't really need to live, we are addicted to buying it here in America because we've got it so darn good. That's not me saying, don't go buy your Big Mac today. Do what you want. It's your money. I don't really care. I'm just saying that the larger picture here, McDonald's is going to charge whatever they can get away with. And the minute they cross that line is the minute you'll say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to go get it. I'm not going to buy it. But enough people are going to do it. And therefore, things are not going to change. 913-408-7957 is how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio. Well, people on the text line were wondering about the apps. So, Mark, you are informing all the texters who wanted to know how much they can get a Big Mac for if they get the special on the app. And if you want to find a deal, whether it's on a sports betting app or a fast food app, Mark is your guy. That's why we keep him around here on KCMO, because he's very, very insightful when it comes to deals on apps.
And I must add, for that $6 special, You have to buy it from the app, which I don't like doing. I like just scanning it when I'm there.
Oh,
but
you're a scanner.
You have to actually buy it through the app, which is different for that $6 deal.
All right. Good to know.
If people download it and try to do that.
All right.
This
Good
is
to
not
know.
sponsored.
Let's try to get you a sponsorship from McDonald's. What do you say? Or John, both of you guys. You guys love that. You love the McDonald's. All right. What else do we love here on KCMO? We love a little Chris Stapleton. And we've got a pair of tickets for you right now. Fifth caller at 913-408-7957 is going to win those Stapleton tickets. They go on sale Friday. Pre-sale through Live Nation starts Thursday at 10 o'clock. He will be here June 12th of 2024 at T-Mobile Center. Fifth caller, 913-408-7957. We got your tickets every single day this week at 7:15 on this show, and then with Ray Stevens at 10:15. That's your next chance to win. I'm Pete Mundo on 95.7 FM. Welcome in. Dave Trobert, Kansas Policy Institute, is going to be here at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, is this really that big of a campaign misstep for Trump? This really does feel like a stretch to me. I will explain that as we continue on through the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday, Halloween morning on KCMO. All right, who won the Stapleton tickets today there, John? What do you got for me?
Jackie in Independence had us on. She's looking forward to the show in June. Chris Stapleton at T-Mobile Center, June 12th. Pre-sale tomorrow?
Friday.
No, Tuesday.
Friday.
Pre-sale on Thursday, I thought I heard you say.
Oh, Live Nation pre-sale is Thursday.
And then tickets on Friday.
Correct.
If you don't win them from us or Ray Stevens coming up this morning at 10:15.
There you go. Very well done. Well, congratulations to Jackie out there in Independence. Ray Stevens will have a pair for you this morning at 10:15 as his show gets underway here on KCMO Talk Radio. Very well done. So we've got Dave Trobert. He's going to be here in 10 minutes. Talk about something scary, that is student achievement or lack thereof in the state of Kansas. But Donald Trump, I haven't said a lot lately about him. I don't know what there is really to say. The presidential race doesn't have a lot of juice to it. He is leading in all the polls by 20, 30, 40 points, depending on which state and what poll you look at. So it's not very close. But it's amazing that I saw this headline. I guess Trump was giving a speech in Iowa over the weekend. And it's not a knock on him at all, but there's nothing I'm going to learn from those speeches anymore. There's nothing to learn. If you want to be entertained, yes. I mean, he's funny, he's engaging, all that is true. But I'm not going to really learn anything from those speeches. You heard them once, you heard them many times over. But I see this headline all over the news the last couple of days, and it's about how Trump flubbed the city he was in. So if you didn't see this, I will play the clip for you here on KCMO, just so you can hear what Donald Trump said versus what he should have said.
Well, thank you very much, and a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. And thank you also to this incredible state.
Well, he was not in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He was in Sioux City, Iowa, is where he was. So you can hear some people boo, and Trump's probably like, what the heck was that? I'm sure he's like, wait, did I just get booed at my own damn rally? What the heck's going on here? What's happening? So he was probably thrown off by it. And then I guess some guy on stage whispered to him, sir, you're in Sioux City, Iowa. You're not in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And okay, it happens. It kind of reminds me of who was it? Elton John, when he was at T-Mobile. Where did he say he was? He said he was in hello, Kansas, or St. Louis, or Wichita. I don't know. He said some city he wasn't in. That was before COVID, so that's like another lifetime ago. Do you remember that?
Not specifically, but having been to many, many concerts on the Missouri side of the line, lots of English bands like to drop the word city. It's just like you say New York.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Kansas.
Yeah. Boo, yeah.
So numerous times we get the state thing, and they know it's Kansas City, but they drop the word city in England, and typically the English bands make that mistake. I digress.
Okay.
Yeah, very seldom have I heard a band just blow it that bad. But
well, here's
right.
what it was. Elton John said, what a great night. This was on Twitter after the show, and this was, this was last February. I feel like John. I can't keep track of the years anymore. He said, what a great night in Arkansas City. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who came. You were all amazing. That was last February when he was playing at T-Mobile. So I'm sympathetic to artists, sending out messages or saying they're in the wrong town. They all do it. So Trump does it. He thinks he's in Sioux Falls instead of Sioux City, Iowa. Like, not a big deal, right? I don't think it's a big deal. And I'm not saying that because I voted for. I just don't think it's a big deal.
Only if you're provincial and live there, clearly.
Correct.
Everybody else is like, oh.
Whatever. All right? Not a big deal. But the bigger part of it is, this is the headline at thehill.com. And if you just Google Trump, Sioux Falls, you can find dozens of news stories. New York Times has a story. Des Moines Register, Salon.com. Mediaite, watch. Hot Mike catches Trump being told he's in a different city than the one he thought he was in. Okay. We have a guy in the White House who literally, we're lucky to know if he knows what day of the week it is. And I say that with all due respect. And they never write these headlines about Joe Biden. When's the last time you saw dozens of mainstream media outlets write any headline about Joe Biden and his latest flub? You could write that every day. I could do an easy segment on the show every day. I just think it'd be too cheap to do that every day because eventually it'd get kind of boring. So I don't bother doing it. When it's funny, I bring it out for you, but I try not to do that every day because it's just too easy. Yet Trump says he's in the wrong city, and it's like, whoa, we've got dozens of news stories on this. Oh, boy, Trump, oh, I don't know if he's all there. Now, this is why I'm really not a fan of people who are pushing 80 running for president. I'm sorry if that, offends anyone who's almost 80, but I don't think we need 80-year-old people running the United States anymore. I think those days should be long gone. But this is, with the current guy in the White House, you got to jump on Trump for saying Sioux Falls instead of Sioux City? At least you got the Sioux part right. Geez, Biden would have been like, hello, Sacramento.
Boom, boom, boom. What are we talking about?
I don't think, sir, you're in Sioux City. Hello, Boston. It's truly unbelievable. They show their true colors every single day. Dave Traubert of the Kansas Policy Institute is going to join me coming up on KCMO. The achievement in Kansas is not where you want it to be. He'll explain it next. One thing I should have asked Daniel Howes about the UAW coming to an agreement with the Detroit Big Three. I forgot to bring up this part of the negotiation. UAW more or less getting an elimination of the two-tier wage system. Now, it would seem to me that if you are a worker and you're new or you've been around for a while, if you're a hard worker in any job, it would seem to me that you would want a two-tier pay system. It would seem to me that would be something that would be beneficial to you if you care about your job and don't think that everyone in any given role should be compensated the same, regardless of their experience or time in their position. It's fundamentally un-American. And there are massively severe unintended consequences with this. You know who did this recently? UPS recently also got rid of its two-tiered wage system. And it looks like we don't have all the fine print yet, but the UAW has secured this concession. And what this would do to me is just take the American automaker industry and continue its self-decline, self-imposed decline.
Or race to the bottom.
Or, yeah, as Sean Fain would say, this is a race to the bottom right here.
There you go.
Yep. Mao Zedong tried to do this in China back in the day, and it had disastrous economic effects on that nation. Now, the Marxists love this. They are advising UAW leadership and pushing for a similar wage system. Mao's vision of socialist equity, uniform wages, irrespective of occupation, education, skill level. All it does is lead to horrible economic impacts and human suffering. And now, if this is part of the concessions that the Detroit Big Three gave the UAW, I wouldn't want to work in that system. And I say that as somebody who did spend time in a similar system. I worked at Fox News for almost 5 years and CBS News and worked at all those places in New York, and they were union shops. Oh, Fox was not a union shop, but the others were union shops. And, I came in, fairly young guy. I was doing some sports reporting, some news reporting, and I was getting paid the same on a shift basis as a guy who'd been doing it for 30 years. Same pay, same shift rate. Didn't matter. Union shop. And it was awful. They resented me because I come in, young guy, at the time, no kids. I'm making the same as them, basically. And then I start resenting them because they're completely mailing it in. They're there to collect a paycheck. They're not there to, try to improve their craft any. It doesn't work out for anyone. All it brings is animosity and division. But the interesting part is those that push it, they claim it's good for everybody. They say, hey, this is equitable. This is great. We're all going to make the same. We're going to eliminate any kind of two-tier wage systems. But human nature doesn't allow that. Because human nature gets in the way of these Marxist socialist ideas of all for one, one for all. It always sounds good on paper, but when implemented, it is an utter failure. And I'm telling you, these Detroit Big Three automakers, they are going to be running for the hills pretty soon. They are going to want to get out as far as they can, out from under this UAW contract. They're going to diversify their operations as much as they can because they are going to become less competitive by the day. And also what they're going to do is automate. Kind of like when you go into a McDonald's now. And you're lucky if you see one person. I pulled up, as you know now, as we told you last week, we're having our third girl in March. So Kate's at that kind of basically at the halfway mark, but who's counting? A fresh fountain soda from McDonald's. That's been a request. So I grabbed one of those on the way home. I pulled up to a McDonald's by the house the other day, and I start getting talked to by a machine. Wasn't a person. Now, the machine did a pretty darn good job. It can't really screw up a medium Diet Coke, but still, it does a good job. You are going to see a race by these Detroit Big Three to get the machines to replace the human beings as quickly as possible. And then when these same people are getting laid off, they're going to say, what happened? I got screwed. Well, you know what? I guess as Sean Fain would say, it's a race to the bottom, but it's being driven by the side who insists they're just looking out for the worker, and they're really not. So Matthew Perry, of course, died over the weekend, 54 years old, apparent drowning at his home in California. And there was a statement that was released yesterday by his friends, co-stars, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer. Every time I see Jesse Waters, I think it's David Schwimmer. Gosh. I'm telling you, David Schwimmer could co-host or I guess host Waters World when Jesse's out, and I wouldn't know the difference. They look exactly alike to me. And the statement read as follows. We're so utterly devastated by the loss of Matthew. We were more than just castmates. We are family. There's so much to say, but right now we're going to take a moment to grieve and process this unfathomable loss. They say in time we'll say more as we are able to. For now, our thoughts and our love are with Maddie's family, his friends, and everyone who loved him around the world. And I saw the statement, and there was a lot of pictures, of course, of the co-hosts or the co-stars yesterday around the internet. And I thought to myself how they could never make this show ever again. This show they will never be able to make again. And what do I mean by that? You will never see a show with 6 equal co-stars, and all of them are white. You can't have it. You literally cannot do a show like that in America in 2023. It will not be allowed. And if it ever happens, the networks would make sure it gets 0 traction. And I don't really care. I just want good actors. It's not like these people made a good show because they were white or anything like that. But I just want the best people to come together and have some cohesion and work well together and put on a damn good show. And they did it. But as I'm looking at the co-stars yesterday and various photos, I'm like, you can't make this show today. It's impossible. What we can do is make this show great, and that's with your help on Tirade Tuesday. Lines are open, 913-408-7957.